that? Oh my God, it's Monet. Monet has come back from the dead and he wants me to give you a message. He says, I am so sorry for sitting in front of my pond in France and sketching those water lilies and using the water lilies as actual inspiration. Sorry to offend, Alice.
Jennifer Diane Schecter, the most universally reviled lesbian character in the history of, well, lesbian characters, and even the most casual of L-word viewers tend to agree. Jenny is the worst. From the start of the series, fans and critics alike took pleasure in bashing Jenny, writing her off as a self-indulgent, pretentious, whiny mess of a character with few redeeming qualities. By the time season 6 rolled around, Jenny's villainous ways had crossed over into sociopathy, and when she was finally put out of her misery, we all collectively rejoiced in the death of a character who, for all intents and purposes, had devolved into a monster. But showrunner Eileen Shaken, much like Mary Shelley's Dr. Frankenstein, didn't set out to create a pitiable creature hell-bent on self-destructive revenge. In fact, the character of Jenny was based on Eileen's own life, as a young woman new to Los Angeles and coming to terms with her sexuality. So, what went wrong? How did Jenny go from the naive new girl trying to find herself to a problematic narcissist with a dog-killing fetish? Join me as I explore the L-word's most polarizing character in an effort to uncover exactly what is the problem with Jenny. My favorite hot take on Jenny comes courtesy of Eileen herself. I think people react so strongly to Jenny because she is a mess in the way that so many people are. To translate, Jenny sucks in the same way we all suck, and it's easier to hate her for it than it is to accept it in ourselves. And yes, part of the reason Jenny failed to win us over was because she wore her insecurities, misery, and helplessness on her sleeve, which, at best, made her uncomfortable to watch, and at worst, made her impossible to root for. But Jenny isn't the only fatally flawed character on the show. So why did her season 1 affair with Marina get more hate than Bet's adulterous fling with Carpenter Candace, or Shane's hookup with the married Sherry Jaffe? Well, despite their consistently terrible behavior, Bet and Shane are extremely likable, but not that relatable. Most of us don't possess Shane's magnetic sexual appeal, or Bet's enviable charm and charisma that gets her anything she wants. Season 1 Jenny, while high in relatability, was low in likability, which is a terrible combination for a wannabe protagonist. We lacked empathy for Season 1 Jenny, not because she was a hot mess who struggled to find herself in a new world, but because she did so while unflinchingly embodying the dark and seedy emotions we're all taught to never show in polite company. This Jenny held us at arm's length by being unapologetically dreadful, selfish, and annoying, and setting the stage for what was to come. Season 2 Jenny was a well-intentioned effort in character course correction that, unfortunately, had the opposite effect. At the time, it seemed Eileen was still puzzled as to why viewers didn't embrace Jenny with open arms. After all, her storyline was engaging, and her complexity, delicious. Perhaps the problem was that viewers simply didn't grasp how deep Jenny truly was. So, what better way to peel back those layers than by opening Jenny's closet and dragging out her most traumatic skeleton, a repressed memory of childhood sexual abuse. And in a bid to take back her sexual power, Season 2 Jenny hits the stripper pole as Miss Yeshiva, a nod to her Jewish identity. But this really intriguing storyline inexplicably fizzled out into nothing. Season 2 Jenny is further victimized by an unscrupulous male roommate who secretly films her, causing her spiral into depression and eventual self-harm. Talk about taking a dark turn. The thing is, we're not only supposed to feel sorry for Season 2 Jenny, but we're supposed to, start liking her. Because all of those things are really messed up. And they explain why she sometimes behaves like a self-indulgent child. But Season 2's storyline did nothing to further our empathy for Jenny. Instead, it just felt like watching a train wreck. Captivating for sure, but so unpleasant, you just want to look away. Many fans of the show cite Season 4 or 5 as the season they finally gave up on Jenny. But I believe Season 3 was the character's major turning point. This was the season that Eileen herself finally seemed to accept the fact that Jenny would never become the show's heroine or even a likable protagonist. And the showrunner began laying the foundation for the Jenny Wears Prada to come. We caught a whiff of the new Jenny in the heartless way she broke up with Max and when she starts to write her novel. For those paying attention, Season 3 Jenny was the canary in the coal mine, and it was clear she was inching her way toward evil Bond villain status, or at least pretentious scheming brat territory.
Shut up and sit down.
Did Jenny adopt a dying dog only to have it euthanized so she could seduce the veterinarian girlfriend of a woman who gave her book a bad review? Yes, she did. In the L Word's last 3 seasons, Jenny's depth and complexity were thrown out of the window in favor of an evil, caricaturized version of her former self. Jenny's plotlines became ridiculous and too numerous to keep track of. She became power-hungry, cruel, and downright despicable, and no one liked her. This new Jenny was out of control, but also endlessly entertaining. Her de-evolution happened quickly, but her shift to the show's main antagonist felt weirdly seamless. Maybe because Bad Jenny was hilarious Jenny, and watching her parade around the set of Les Girls, trolling Tina and terrorizing her assistant Adele, almost made you forget that she used to be a real character. Jenny the egotist was funny, but ultimately boring, which is probably why her final storyline resembled something from a soap opera. It's as if Eileen finally unleashed her creation in all its glory and gave Jenny free rein to do whatever she wanted. And after Jenny got her fill of mayhem, Eileen put her down, just like Jenny put down poor Sounder. Season 6 was different. The entire season was a murder mystery without a murderer, but that's because an L Word spinoff series was already in the works. The Farm was slated to be a prison drama with Alice at the helm, which means it was likely Alice who killed Jenny, or at least was framed for it. Showtime even released a mini-series called Interrogation Tapes to tease the upcoming show. Except, Showtime didn't actually pick up the series, and therefore, the Who Killed Jenny storyline became one long tease with no climax. The fan fallout from the lack of reveal was real, so when the Gen Q reboot popped up 10 years later, we were all salivating for a resolution to the Who Killed Jenny plotline. And we got one. Bette tells Danny that a friend of hers died by suicide in her pool. The fact that we learned about Jenny's suicide in a throwaway line from Bette was disappointing to say the least. In fact, Mia Kirshner, the actress who brilliantly portrayed Jenny, was adamant that Jenny did not kill herself. And although Eileen is an executive producer on the reboot, she stated that she's given complete control of all the characters to the reboot showrunner, Marja Lewis Ryan. But I have to be honest, that feels a bit like a cop-out. Of all the L Word characters, Jenny seemed to be the one who belonged the most to Eileen. After all, she was created in Eileen's own image. Now, to be fair, Eileen has a very full plate. She's showrunner for Fox's Empire, as well as an executive producer for Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale. But still, how much responsibility does a creator bear for their creation? And is being busy a good enough reason for abandoning that creation? Despite how Jenny's storyline was resolved, I personally think it's fitting that she met the same fate as Dr. Frankenstein's creature, because at the end of the day, it was never really about who killed Jenny. It was about getting rid of a character whose toxicity had spiraled out of control and threatened to overtake any and everyone in her path. And maybe it wasn't busyness that kept Eileen from finishing what she started, but something else. Jenny never seemed to be received in the way Eileen intended, and I'm sure it frustrated the showrunner to no ends. And despite Jenny's Devil Wears Prada mid-series transformation, I can't help but feel sorry for her. Abandoned by her creator, alienated from her friends, hated by virtually everyone, and eventually just left alone to die. Maybe the problem with Jenny wasn't entirely Jenny. Maybe part of Jenny's problem was the rest of us. I want to know what you guys think. Is Jenny worthy of all the hate she gets? Leave a comment and let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos just like this one, and I'll see you next week.